What is up with y'all? It's been a minute since I've been on here on YouTube. I think I'm gonna put some of this on Instagram. It's been a minute since I've been on Instagram too, but it's definitely been a minute since I've been on YouTube. But I wanted to make this video, and I just wanted to share some things with you guys. Share with you guys what God has shared with me within the past couple of weeks. I've taken a break from social media. Before I get into my spiritual changes, let me get into a couple physical changes. Not even a couple, just one. My hair is different. I dyed it, and I really like the color. But anyway, so definitely there's been some spiritual changes within the past couple of weeks, and I love it. Like, I'm just so overwhelmed with peace. I am overwhelmed with joy, and there's a difference between joy and happiness. I feel like with happiness, there's usually a reason why you're happy, but when you have joy, you just smile for no reason. If you think about something, you just smile. When I think about something that God has done, or I think about just little things, God waking me up this morning, God allowing me to do certain things, or things that God's blessed me with in the past, or when I hear certain songs, certain gospel songs, I just smile. Like, I physically smile. Like, I'm in my room, like, cheesing. And my heart smiles as well. And so I've just been overwhelmed with absolute peace and joy within these past couple of weeks. Like I said, I took a break from social media. I haven't been on social media. I haven't been listening to secular music. And now what's crazy is I had planned this whole fast, okay? And I wrote it out. And I wrote out things that I'm going to refrain from, or refrain. Y'all, I be trying to use these words, and I know what the words mean. I just don't know exactly how to say it. So it's like I know what I'm trying to say. I just don't know how to say it. So if I ever say something that sounds stupid, just know that I know what I meant. I know what I was trying to say. So anyway, things that I was staying away from. Okay, I wrote out a whole list of stuff. I think I put social interactions, so I wasn't going to interact with nobody socially. And this was before the whole social distancing thing, like literally right before, probably like a week before I decided to do this. I put no secular music, so like rap or R&B or nothing like that. Only gospel music, only music that gives praises to God. What else? I put Netflix and YouTube besides like sermons and stuff that I watch, but just things, anything that was not connecting me to God, or anything that was not of God, I was trying to stay away from it. And I had planned on doing that for 21 days, so for 3 weeks. The first 2 weeks I failed miserably, absolutely miserably. I was supposed to stay away from social interactions, but I had a friend that I would kick it with, and that was not a part of my fast, but I did it anyway. And then it got to a point where I started listening to secular music like Janae Aiko, and I'm like, well, it's not that bad. Like, Janae Aiko, her music is smooth and it's cool or whatever, whatnot. But God has shown me, like, even though we think it's okay, sometimes it's really not. And so yeah, I was kind of staying away from those things the past couple of weeks. But within this last week, that's when God really has been speaking to me and giving me these revelations, and I am so grateful for them. And so I want to share some of them with you. The first thing is that I've been set apart. God has made me different. God has made Cheyenne to be set apart. I am in this world, but I am not of this world. In like high school, kinda, I always wondered why I was so different. Like, how come? This is gonna be an example. Music. I could be in a car full of people, and every single person, when a certain song comes on, everybody would know the words to the song. Everybody's bumping and singing along to it, and I'm sitting there in the back seat like, okay, like, this cool, but I do not know the words. So I'm kind of looking like, why do I feel so out of place? That's what it was. I felt so out of place for a long time, because it just seemed like I wasn't on the same level as everybody else, not realizing that that is a good thing. I don't want to be on the same level as everybody else. I don't want to be a part of this society, a part of this generation. I want to change this generation. I want to change this society, and the only way I can do that is by allowing God to do that, allowing God to use me as a vessel, not my will but God's will. um that's what I want. I don't want to have to, or want to try to fit in. I don't need to try to fit in. I don't need to try to feel like I'm a part of, what everybody is doing and what everybody is a part of. Because God has made me different. He set me apart. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. God has put a certain calling on my life that is very far from the things of this generation and the things of this society. And so that's one thing that He's shown me. And with showing me that, He's shown me that I can't entertain certain people. I can't entertain certain situations. I can't entertain certain music, things that I watch, like my show, y'all. There's this show called The Challenge. I don't know if anybody watches that, but there's a show called The Challenge on MTV. That is my show. I love that show, okay? They had season 35 that just started Wednesday. I'm geeked. I'm ready. I just can't wait till it hits about, like 9 o'clock so I can watch it on the DVR and I can just fast forward through the commercials. And so I'm sitting there and I'm watching it and I'm excited. And then they started talking about it was a girl and there were two of her friends, and she started talking about how, oh yeah, we're the Holy Trinity. I'm the Son, she's the Father, and she's the Holy Spirit. And when that happened, when I seen that, my spirit just cringed. I said, mm-mm, I don't like that. But I was so excited about the show because I like it so much. I ended up watching the whole episode. I still watched the whole episode. But after I watched it and I was praying, I'm like, Lord, forgive me. I should not have entertained that. I should not have kept watching that. When I seen that, that was the moment I should have turned the TV off and went upstairs. And it's like, we don't think to do that stuff. We think like, oh, it's not that serious. It's just TV. But that stuff, for one, that's mocking God. And you can't have that. Period. God's not having that, so I'm not having that. Anything, that's another point that I had. Anything that God's not having, I'm not having. And God is not having a lot of the things that I've been entertaining in my life. And so that's something that He's shown me, is that if I'm going to live this life for God, if I'm going to live right, if I'm really going to be made new and made whole and transformed with the renewal of my mind, I have to pay attention to little stuff like that, because we let little stuff slide like that. And it's a slippery slope. You let one thing slide, then you kind of let another thing slide, and everything just starts sliding from there. And so I realized that I have to pay attention to stuff like that. Certain things that, I've allowed myself to entertain or kind of accepted, I can't accept no more. And it was hard to come to that realization. For a while, I was really scared to let certain people go. And sometimes people are in your life for certain seasons, and sometimes for certain seasons, people aren't in your life. So with the people that I was close with, that doesn't mean that I'm not friends with them no more. But this has just been the season where I have to block out everything and everybody else. And that's one thing that I was really afraid of, was blocking out my friends, trying to get closer to God, because I don't want them to be offended and I don't want them to think of me any differently. But I have to do that. And sometimes you have to do that in order to get closer to God. In order to really connect with God, you have to drop everything. You have to let everything go. Friends, you got to let them go. Certain priorities that you have to let them go. God has to be your number one priority. So that's one thing that He's shown me, is to surrender everything. Surrender my time, my energy, things that I put my time into. Even little stuff like throughout the day. It's not probably not even sinful. It's probably not even a bad thing, but it's just we give all that time to something else rather than giving our time to God. And that's one thing that He showed me, is that I have to give my all to Him. The Bible tells us to love God with our whole heart, our whole mind, our whole body, all of our strength, everything. We have to love God with every single thing in us. Another thing is, I'd rather have peace. Like I said, I've been overwhelmed with peace, and I love it. When I tell y'all, my brain usually runs 1,000,000 miles a minute, and honestly, so far it's been 11 minutes. I'm pretty sure I'm going to edit like a couple of things out, but usually when I make videos, The reason why my videos are always so choppy is because there's so much going on in my head. I completely forget about what it is I'm trying to say, and I lose track. And I wish y'all could see how many times I'll be talking, and then I'll just stop and I'll just look around, and I'd be really confused. But even so far, because I have this peace of mind, and because my mind isn't going bananas, I'm able to just finish my thoughts, complete my thoughts. And I never realized like how bad it really was. um, but yeah, peace is what I want. So if that means letting go of certain people, if that means letting go of certain things that I'm watching, certain things that I'm listening to, because that stuff, it gets into your spirit. We don't think it does, but that stuff gets into your spirit, and it can corrupt your spirit, and it can corrupt your heart in ways that you wouldn't even think of. And so it's really important to watch what you allow into your life. So anything that's not bringing me peace, and it's kind of cliche, you hear it all the time, but anything that's not bringing me peace, I cannot entertain. Another thing is I have to master the stage that I'm in order to move on to the next one. So, like with video games, you have levels to video games. Okay, Super Mario Brothers, for example. You not gonna get to the next world if you don't complete all the little things in world 1. Okay, you can't move on to world 2 if you didn't, pass world 1. So same thing with me, same thing with us. If you can't master the level that you're at right now, God's not going to move you on to the next level, because he wants to see that he can trust you with the next thing in your life. If he can't trust you at the level you're at, he's not going to take you to the next one. And so with me, I've realized I've been in this same stage, this same point in my life, and it's like, when can I get past this? When am I going to move on? When is there going to be more for me? And I've realized I haven't even gotten myself together in the season that I'm in right now, so I can move on to the next season of my life. And so that just kind of showed me that, okay, I really have to pay attention to what's going on around me. Why am I in this state? Why am I in this state of mind? Why am I still in this situation? Why do these things keep happening to me? And it's because I have not learned what it is that God wants me to learn from it. I have not taken away what God wants me to take away from it. And with me, my mindset is, if I got to keep starting over, I'm gonna keep starting over. I don't care what anybody else thinks about it. I have this one particular thing that I have been dealing with, and I keep going back to it, and I'm like, God, please take it away from me. Take away the desire. I don't want to do it no more. I don't want to do it no more. And I would go back and I would do it. One thing that God has shown me is that I've been asking all the wrong questions, or I haven't even been asking questions. My youth pastor's wife, shout outs to Tian, I love you so much. She had told me the other day, she was like, ask God, why do you keep doing this? The thing that you're dealing with, why, or what kind of got you into doing what you're doing? I said, you know what? I never thought to ask that. And when I say the minute I asked God, why did I get into this in the first place? God showed me right then and there, and I realized it, and I said, dang. And now that I know, I'm going to apply that to that situation, and I'm going to apply pressure to that, so that that's something that I don't deal with no more. Because I don't want to deal with it no more. I want to give it over to God. But the reason why I haven't, I'm not going to explain the reason, but I now know the reason. And so I'm hoping, and I'm having faith that now that I know better, I'm going to do better. So sometimes we're still in the same cycle. Sometimes we go through the same things because we just haven't learned. We haven't learned in the right way, or we haven't taken the lesson that we need to take out of it. So don't be discouraged. Y'all, do not be discouraged when certain things come to you, or certain things keep happening to you. It's all God testing us. And the Bible says to be joyful, rejoice in hardships, rejoice when you're going through certain things, trials and tribulations. Be joyful in those, because that shows that God is testing you. And when God tests you, he tests you in order to build your faith. He's not going to give you a test so you can fail. God is not going to set you up for failure. God gives you tests so that you can pass them and you can move on and you can give glory to him. And so when you are faced with hardships, when you are faced with certain things, just know and just remember, God's testing me right now, and God wouldn't give you nothing that you can't handle. So the test that you do get from God, just know that he knows that you can get through it. You may not feel like it, you may not believe that you could get through it or get past it, but know that God knows that you can. And when you know that God knows that you can, when you know God is on your side and God is rooting for you, it gives you this kind of fire to be like, okay, you know what, I can handle this. I know I can handle this because God knows I can handle this. So yeah, be encouraged if you're ever when you are hit, not if, when you are hit with stuff. The last point I'm going to give, because this video, dang, I'm at 19 minutes. This video kind of long. So the last point I'm going to give is letting go of religion and picking up relationship. So I've grown the desire to have a relationship with God. And I can't exactly tell you how to have a relationship with God, because everybody's relationship with God is going to be completely different. Nobody's relationship with God is going to be the exact same. Just like with a regular relationship, this couple over here is not going to have the same relationship as this couple over here. They may do the same things, have the same kind of principles as far as, you know, loving each other and supporting each other and all that type of stuff, but the relationship that they have, the bond that they have, the connection that they have are always going to be very, very different from each other. And that's the same thing with God. Like talking to God, there's a difference between praying and talking to God. So when you pray, praying is kind of like a petition, and it's, you know, telling God what it is that you need, things that you want, and things that you're asking him to come in and change or whatever, whatnot. But when you just talk to God, it's just like, Lord, I'm tired of this, or I don't understand this. Like, how come this is happening? Or how do I do this? Or like little stuff like that. We don't think to do that. But when I say I've been talking to God, like he's one of the homies, not like in a disrespectful way. I still do it in a respectful way, but it's just like I have that connection with God to where I can talk to him like he's my friend, because he is my friend. God, we are friends of God if you are connected to God. That's one thing I've been doing. I've just been talking to God. I've been praying to God, and that's where the relationship comes in. So just like you talk to your significant other, that's a better example. So just like you talk to your significant other or your partner or whatever, whatnot, just about your day, or just about, you know, just anything. That's the same thing with God. You can come to God with that. And it says, the Bible says, to cast your cares on God, because God cares about you. He cares for you. He wants to hear the things that, you know, you're feeling. He wants to hear the things that are on your mind, the things that are on your heart. And he wants to hear all of it, not some of it. Because for me, like, sometimes I'm like, okay, I probably shouldn't talk to God about that, or he probably don't want to hear about that, or I have that type of mindset with certain things. But you have to everything. You can talk to God about anything and everything, because he wants us to do that. That's how we grow closer to him. Just like with somebody else, just like a regular friend, the more you talk to them, the more comfortable you get with them, and the more that your relationship and your bond, your connection grows. But yeah, those are a couple of things that I just wanted to share with you guys. I hope that you guys have been encouraged by this. I hope that God was able to use me as a vessel to speak to whoever it is that needed to hear anything that I've said in this video. I love you all. If you have not subscribed, subscribe. I'm gonna put my Instagram. Honestly, that's really all I have. I'm gonna put my Instagram in the bio, not the bio. What's it called? Description. This ain't Instagram. I'm gonna put my Instagram in the description of this video. And if there's any topics that you guys want to hear about, if there's any questions that you guys have, my inbox is always open. Comment section is always open. So if you want me to make a certain video on a certain topic, or if you want me to make a video answering certain questions or explaining certain things, let me know. I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what it is that my youth needs, because as a generation, we need God right now more than anything. And so if you don't know how to get closer to God, or if you have questions about anything, ask me. I will gladly be open to anything and everything. So not anything and everything, but any curiosity that you have, I'm open to it. So yeah, I hope y'all have a blessed one, and I will see you guys next time.